Good morning, good morning, good morning, everybody, honey. It is long time no hear from. Let me know if you guys can hear me, okay? Child, I ain't been on StreamYard so long. Hey, Almighty Isis. Hey, Dream with Brain. Hey, Miss Lady 007. Hey, Miss Angie. Thank God you're okay. I've been so, oh, thank you. I'm done with you, LOL. Y'all the best. Dang, I can't even get here. Thank you, Miss Lady. Can you guys hear me okay? Oh, I'm clear. Thank you. Thank you, Miss Angie. Well, anyway, guys, thanks for dropping down, okay? Because it's been a long time. Good morning, Tanya McNeil. How you doing? Hey, Mimi. How you doing? Chad, I'm here to make a video, Chad. Thank you. Thank y'all. Hey, oh, I said hey, Tanya already. But thank y'all. Hey, Mika. How you doing, girl? How all of y'all doing? Thank you so much. And thank you for you guys that were concerned about me. Child, I'm just fine. Been living life, taking things one day at a time, and then I started out just saying I'm gonna take a couple of days off, from making any videos, or whatever, because I was concerned with the state of the union as it pertains to the country and moreover as it pertains to our people, right? And so one thing led to another thing, one day led to another day. It's only so for me, what's going on in this country right now is so backward. Everything is going so backwards. And it's not on us to write it. You know what I mean? But then people expect us to write it, while at the same time trying to keep us down. And so, I had an issue with that. And the reason why I had an issue with that is because I don't know if you guys have been with me for years, or seen some of my old videos. Years ago, I used to talk about this issue. Everybody knows. Well, you guys might not know if you're new, but I am black first. I have always been black first. They used to call me, I have been called racist in the beef sector while I was talking about these subjects. I have never been called racist by my own people until I entered the beef sector, right? And because before I came to the beef sector, hey, Truth and Reason, I love Eartha Kid, wanted to name, I put, oh, that's so sweet. But for years I have been talking about the issues concerning the black community. Like I said, black people, let me get this out of here, by the way. Thanks for saying that. My own people have called me racist, right? And so I find it interesting that the things that I talked about years ago are now coming to fruition, right? And so I'm wondering, well, am I still considered racist or really what's going on? Because how can you be racist in a system that not only tells you you're on the bottom, that shows you you're on the bottom, that keeps the system that keeps its foot on your neck and tries to smother you. Okay, and we've seen that done in full view of the world, literally done to a man by the name of George Floyd, right? So that is a literal version, in my opinion, of what is going on with black people and has gone on with black people in these United States of America. Hence the title, right? And so also in the title, what made me do the video today? Hey, Kimberly Black, how you doing? Oh, thank you. Thank you, Kimberly. And thank you all once again so much for being worried about me if you were. Thanks for wondering where I was. Like I said, one day led to the next. And I can't talk about stupid stuff when we're going through what we're going through in this country right now, right? So I say I've been listening to the Carmelo Anthony case. I listened to the Child case. Um, of course, I've been listening to what's going on with Trump and how much his, in my opinion, dementia ridden self is being able to get away with, but it's really not even him. It's the people behind him pulling the strings, in my opinion, and they are using him. And I'm just wondering, like when they get done with their agenda, what's going to happen to him, right? Because this is clearly agenda. Because one man can't have all of this power and be able to loot the United States government and scam the government, in my opinion, the way that he's doing, just because it's him, right? You have to have several people behind you enabling you to do this sort of thing, right? So, but that's what we're seeing on a daily basis. So when I don't come on and talk about what's going on in the beef sector, or I jumped on, I click on every once in a while. I clicked on, I think it was last week, maybe, or week before last. I clicked on, I saw a Bizarro video. I got the what do you call it, the message for it, and I was listening, and I asked her because I was trying to get into it. What made you want to start, or y'all want to start a new sector and all this and all that. I asked her, was it because of the demon? She said no, and I was like, okay, y'all have a good day, right? So I went right back to listening to what I was listening to, child. Okay, because it's as far as I could take it. All right. So anyway, so today I wanted to talk about the Carmelo Anthony case. We know that he is the young man that was charged with first degree murder after an incident that happened at a high school track meet. Right? We all know this. Some people believe, black and white, blue and green, that he is guilty of first degree murder. Right? They gave him 35 years. Um, some people believe that it was self defense. You know what I mean? Because the way that it was explained, the young man that is no longer here, the meth cat boy, um, was, he pushed him, and he said, "Push me again and see what happens." Right? And so, but when it comes to me, the only thing I be thinking is two lives are gone. Right? The guy, the meth cat boy, his life is gone, right? As well, and then turn around, Carmelo's life is gone. I always tell the young people in my family that trouble is easy to get in and hard to get out of, and if you can walk away, please try to walk away, right? So they say, some people were saying, some of the witnesses said, a couple of them, that they had surrounded Carmelo, right? And so then I got to thinking, well, could he walk away? You know, was he afraid of all these big football players? Because they said the Metcalf guy was, he was a lot bigger than Carmelo, right? So could he have walked away? Was he able to walk away after they encircled him? Was he afraid of his life? Was he afraid of being, beat up? Because at the time it seems like, whether they want to admit it or not, the Metcalf guy had the upper hand, right? And so I'm thinking, well, in a town like the town that he attended school, it seemed like it seemed like it is predominantly Anglo. You know what I mean? And so, what did people expect was going to happen to Carmelo when it came to court? I seen a brief interview on a Willie D live show yesterday. Y'all please hit the like button, by the way, okay? I seen a clip, a little bit of Willie D live video. I think it was yesterday, when his parents, Carmelo Anthony's parents, said they wish they hadn't gotten, they wish they had gotten a black attorney as opposed to an Anglo attorney, right? because he really didn't put on much of a defense at all, you know. And even if he had, it could have been Johnny Cochran up there, okay? It could have been Johnny Cochran, the man that got O.J. Simpson off, freed O.J. Simpson because he was accused. If y'all can remember, if any of you guys are old enough, got OJ off from Urban and his wife, right? I knew they better lock Chug the Builder up. I heard about the Chug. That's so ridiculous. That's provoking. They. Let me tell you what's going on with people like Chug the Builder. By the way, real fast. I'm glad you said that. Right. Here's what's going on. Right. White people don't understand why black people are not reacting the way that they once, used to act when it came to their civil rights being violated, when it comes to what's going on in this country economically. We know that a few months ago, what was it, 30,000 or 300,000 black women were fired from corporate jobs for no reason other at all other than what's going on with Project 2025, right? So we have seen on a consistent basis how since the Trump administration is playing by the Project 2025 playbook, they're trying to take away not only our freedoms, but also trying to take away how we support our families, right? How black people are literally being pushed out of jobs for no other reason than the fact that they are black. Now I don't know if people want to admit this to themselves or not, but we see this on a daily basis, right? We see the Anglos, especially the Trump administration, they are fear mongering, they are hate mongering. I was not surprised, but I was like, how day class A, how trash can you be? From what was that lady name? She done had all that done work, her that work done on her face. She worked with Trump, and she called when she was into it with Candace Owens, and Candace, she called her a nappy headed. I'm not afraid of that nappy headed bee or whatever she said about it. I was like, wow, really? Right? So they are really emboldening this racism. When this type of racism is coming directly from the White House, it emboldens people, right? Fast forward to the Carmelo Anthony trial, and you had I remember seeing I was watching Nick at Night because she was actually at the trial. And the other day, the day that I saw her, hey Journey, she she was crying. Now I don't know what happened. I'm assuming they were harassing her. I know she had been the night before. She had made a video telling this Anglo girl, pretty much, I'm giving this. I'm serving you as a cease and desist. Like, leave me alone. You're lying on me. You're pretty much harassing me via this trial in this courtroom. You're trying to get me to give you a reaction, and I'm never going to say anything to you. So the very next day or the day after that, she was on camera crying. She couldn't hold herself together. I don't know what they said to her. I don't know if she felt afraid. But the next thing I know, that she's got Black Panther surrounding her just so she could do, her journalism, just so she could put out her content, right? So I'm thinking, oh my God, it had to be pretty hostile, around that courthouse, right? Now just think about, now this wasn't gonna happen, right? But in an altered universe, can you imagine what would have happened if Carmelo Anthony would have been found not guilty? If Carmelo Anthony would have been found not guilty, okay? These other Anglos know that these Anglos would have lost their mind. Not only in the town where they were, where the trial was, where there was all white jury, where it took them less than 3 hours to convict Carmelo Anthony of murder, not manslaughter, not some lesser charge, because it was clearly self defense, but first degree murder. Could you imagine what would have happened? The backlash, the repercussions if he had been found innocent. And at this point in time in this country, Jake Lang saying he was going to pepper him if he was found not. Oh, wow. Who is Jake Lang? I don't even know who that is. They was trying to intimidate Neek. I started getting, yeah, they was trying to intimidate her. But I am glad those guys, those Black Panthers, came to her aid, and made her feel more comfortable because they were clearly trying to intimidate her. So I was really glad to see that, and ended up getting arrested and charged with terrorist threats. Really, who is Jake Lang? Restless Faith. But anyway, I felt so bad for her, Jane Lang. It's no this way. Oh, okay. It's a known white. Oh, he got arrested? Really? I had no idea. Wow. But anyway, like I said, I think that they would have acted like they would have reacted if he had been found innocent. They would have reacted like it was some of the California riots or something like that. You know what I mean? Back when what was that man name? They showed him getting beat up by the police over decades ago. I can't think of his name. And they were rioting in California over the video that was shown of him getting beat up, pulled out of his truck and whatnot. They were rioting, they were looting, setting places on fire. It would have been all of that, right? Now the boy's family, Carmelo's Anthony, Rodney King, thank you, Rodney King, thank you, 4-piece of tilapia, child. Texas gave case in Austin 2 years for stabbing a black teen multiple times in school with a knife, only to give command. Well, that's true. I remember one case they were talking about, where it was one, no, it wasn't that case, but it was two white boys in school, and they were fighting in the bathroom, and the one white fellow killed the other white fellow, and he didn't get any time at all. Yeah, Rodney King. Yeah, they said y'all Rodney King, right? So you just really have, but what can you expect? You know what I mean? We know that things would have been out of hand. People have been going crazy. They'll try to pull him out of the courtroom and lynch him, right? So anyway, let me go back to this. I gotta drove me further than I want to go, but let me go back to the courtroom, right? When it came to the Carmelo Anthony, and the verdict was, before the verdict was ready, he had been found guilty, first degree murder. He got 35 years, right? So his mama was begging him for mercy, right? But then you do an interview saying, you should have hired a black lawyer, right? Because I don't think that I think, and I really think that. See, here's the thing: people don't realize that when it comes to Anglos, put a one in the chat if you guys have heard of Tim Wise. Tim Wise is a guy that speaks. He is a white man that speaks about white fragility basis. Basically, he tries to educate black people on racism. He is supposed to be anti-racist. Jeff Lane was arrested in Texas for those threats. He's supposed to be anti-racist. He's from Tennessee, and he's supposed to be an ally, right? Tim Wise, if you never heard of him, Google him, right? So even somebody like him or Jane Elliott, they suffer from unconscious bias, right? So when you get a lawyer like they hired, he is still dealing with unconscious bias, right? One thing about the synagogue of Satan and the demons that dwell in it and the demons that are over this system right now, the demons that run Babylon right now, one thing they got that we don't got is they all stick together at the end of the day. Whether it's Tim Wise saying he's, anti-racism and he's a Anglo himself, he still suffers from a conscious bias. It's just like Jane Elliott, if you guys have heard of her. They still suffer from unconscious bias simply because of the way that they were raised, right? So they can say that they are allies all that they want to, but they are still going to suffer from unconscious bias. You know why? It's because of the system of white supremacy racism, right? The system. I heard somebody say that Babylon is not just a city. Babylon is a system, right? And I agree with that, right? Now we know that Babylon was run by Esau, right? I'm not going to get biblical, and we know who Esau is. Esau is the Anglo, right? And they call Jacob the true Hebrews, right? I don't want to say Israelites because at this point in time, uh, it's a no for me. As it pertains to Netanyahu and those Ashkenazis over there, right? That's a no for me. I'm talking about the true Hebrews, right? So when you have a system set against you, and you go in this courtroom and this young black man has defended himself, and unfortunately it resulted in the unaliving of another black teen, of another, I'm not another black, but another teenager, Anglo, via the system. What do you think is going to happen, right? See, when it comes to Carmelo Anthony, we have seen the unaliving of young, black men and black men in general, as well as women, time and time again. Now, there was an influx, if you can remember, of this since Barack Obama had been elected president. Because when Barack Obama, see, people don't think about stuff. It's more than just one issue. We know that as black people, we have to deal with more than one issue at a time when it comes to the system of white. So, hey, Dr. Song, the system of white supremacy, racism, and how to survive through it, right? So, like I said earlier, they can't understand why we are not in an uproar and we are not participating in these no kings marches and all of this and all of that. They can't understand why we don't participate, right? We don't participate because we heard it all before. This is just Jim Crow 2.0 status quo to us, right? So what do? We know how to maneuver through it, right? That's just what we've learned to do. It's like second nature. So no, why we know that protesting really doesn't work, especially in a situation as it pertains to what's going on in this country, right? So here's the thing, though. When you see, what is that again? The Asian man, the Ricky Chow man, right? They say he ran this little black boy down the length of a ball field, shot him in his back for a alleged so cause he allegedly stole a bottle of water at the Asian store, right? Now this is a symptom of America, right? He felt emboldened to do that, especially under this administration, because of what's going on, because of the way the wheel is turning right now, right? And we know that the wheel is turning towards racism. The wheel is increased racism. There's never not been racism, but overt, should I say, racism, right? That's what we're trending upwards for. That we see it online, we see it offline, and they say this isn't the first time. Yeah, they say it wasn't the first time he did that, right? Thank you, Dr. Soapy. Thank you so much, because, child, I can get carried away. I keep going back and forth right now, right? So that's the title, y'all, right? So, he got away with murder, right? But he's not the only one. Hold up, y'all. I got a picture. Oh shoot, I forgot to download the picture. Hold on, y'all. Give me a minute, because I really want to show y'all something that I seen, and this is so on point, right? It's this one. It's this one. Let's see if I can download it for you guys. Hold on. So I saw this going down my. Let me take the. Oh Lord, how do I get the caption off? Let me take the caption off. So I saw this going down my timeline yesterday, right? When I saw the Ricky Chow case, it was like Natasha, Natasha, who all over again? Well, when I saw what happened with Ricky Chow, you know what that reminded me of? Rest of Faith. It reminded me of George Zimmerman and what he did to Trayvon Martin. How he traced Trayvon Martin down when the child, the teenager, was going to the store to get what we learned was the Skittles and the tea, right? That's what that reminded me of when I saw what Ricky Chow did to that boy. He ran him down the length of a football field, shot him in the back, and they said because the young black boy allegedly had a gun on him, but he's running, and the child shot him in the back. It was self defense, but he's running away from you. He's not turning around and shooting back at you. He's running away from you in fear. Whether he has a firearm or not, you still shot him in the back. So how was it self defense? That is not even stand your ground, right? What George Zimmerman did to Trayvon Martin, that was not stand your ground. You hunted that boy down and you modern day lynched him. The same way that they're doing Carmelo. The same way, but then Rick Chow got out, Zimmerman got out. This is Cal Rittenhouse up here. We know what he did. He crossed state lines with a assault or weapon. You know, went to court for it, got off of it, got off for it. This guy right here, I can't think of his name, but he killed the black man on the subway that was mentally ill, and he pretty much what is his name? George Floyded him. Oh, thank you, Dr. Sobey. He pretty much George Floyd that man on the subway, right? And got away with it. He got found not guilty, where it was on camera of him choking this man to death. Once again, the man is saying, I can't breathe. But he got off with it, right? So this is nothing but people say, the people always want to holler if a black person talks about the injustices in the United States of America and what they want to happen, with it. They call you racist yourself, or they say you're anti-American, or they have some other that, like I said, it happened to me in the beef sector. When I start talking about these what I used to call them, the interlopers, I was tagged as racist. But I've been talking about these issues for years. But it was falling on deaf ears in the beef sector. And I said, well, shoot, let them have it. I'll go other places and talk about it. It is what it is. See, a lot of times as black people, we go through so much that you don't want to deal with it, right? I think that people want to think that what's going on with them is not going on with them. You have a lot of black people, I have figured out, that simply don't even know the history of this country, of their own people, right? The beef sector is full of raccoons. You got that right. Miss O, you got some black saying, get over. Ain't that something, doctor? You know what? Because it's ignorance. It's willful ignorance, okay? It's you not knowing, especially young people. See, here's the thing, too. I was looking at a video, and they were asking these teenagers, these young black people, to read something out of a book, any book, right? And so they couldn't even hardly read a sentence from a book. They were mispronouncing words. They weren't stopping at punctuation. They simply didn't know, couldn't even read, right? And the reason why is because we know that the education system, the public education system, has almost been gutted. They want to whitewash history. They want you illiterate. You know what I mean? And people are going for it. They want you illiterate. So they got you on this road to thinking all you need to care about is sex, drugs, and money, right? It's all capitalism. It's all you need to worry about. Okay? Making that dollar. As long as you're making that dollar, you ain't got to educate yourself. We don't want you to know nothing about your history. Okay? We're gonna set some people, some supposed black people in front of you, like Candace Owens and these Tatum's and all of these pro Trump black people in front of you, to try to stroke your head and tell you it's all right what's happening to you. Okay. Okay, Restless Faye. I didn't know that. I didn't know that. I'm gonna have to look into that. Thanks for telling me that. I knew about racism back then because my family taught me. Exactly. See, there's another thing, Restless Faye. I'm glad you said that. Because, see, sometimes racism is so overwhelming to black people that they really don't even want to discuss it with their children, right? But it's not like that around here in my family. The young people in my family will tell you we've been discussing it since day one, okay? Because just like we discuss it around here, you best believe those are some of the kitchen tables conversations that go on with the Anglos, right? They teach their children, some of them consciously or unconsciously, that they are superior, especially in this country, not only in this country, around the world. They are the standard, right? They teach them this false propaganda about black people. They want to whitewash history. They don't want you to think of slavery um as the complete dismantling of a human being. Like, they not only stole us from our land, our ancestors from their land, they stole their identity, they stole their culture, they stole their religions, they stole everything about them. They wanted to make them a clean slate so that they could transfer them into the kind of slave that would rebel against them. That you're supposed, even right now, if slavery could still be slavery in its original form in 2026, it would still be we would still be enslaved, in my opinion. They have taken black history. They absolutely have taken black history out of schools. Not only that, they want to whitewash it. Some school books want to liken chattel slavery to indentured servitude, right? They want to liken chattel slavery with indentured servitude, and we know that is not true. Indentured servitude is what they did with like Irish people and people in England that stole when they came over here and they wanted to they needed help with the Americas. They would ship them over here for a period of about 6 or 7 years, and after they served their time in indentured servitude, they would be free to do what they wanted to do. That's indentured servitude, right? Indentured servitude is what they did to some of the Asians that came over here, right? Post 16, prior to and post 1619. That's why they are making Gen Z uneducated. Yeah, they're making it. They're making them not only uneducated as it pertains to racism. Okay, they're making it. They're making it. They're making them uneducated in general, right? And I'm thinking, if they can't read out of a book, how is it that they can read good enough to make the very derogatory comments online? Like, I'm thinking that is backwards. Like, your priorities are mixed up, right? I'm confused by that. But anyway, what the hell? Let's just keep looking. That's what's going on in this country. They want you to be uneducated, right? They want to whitewash history. You know why they want to whitewash history? Because they're not. Here's the thing when it comes to the system. I seen this interview. They were interviewing these southern um white people, right? And the man was saying, the racist guy, he was saying, he's all for make America great again and all this and all of that, right? And then they asked him something about slavery, something as it pertains to, would you prefer, that black people be enslaved once again, right? And his answer was no comment. So I'm thinking in 2026, you still want ownership of black bodies, right? But let me tell you something. When people start talking about reparations, and stuff like that. Nobody talks about the fact that part of the reason why it is everybody has got reparations that were owed to them, even the American Indians, except black people. You know what we get? We get an ongoing Jim Crow. We get an ongoing never lifting the foot off of our neck as it pertains to the system of white supremacy racism, right? But do you know why? I know why I will never see reparations talked about seriously in this country in my lifetime. I don't know about the young people, but the reason why I will never, there are several reasons why I never will see it come to fruition in my lifetime. Is number one reason is because they still, you have to realize, if you know anything about your history, right? If you know any, if I live in this, I live in freaking Tennessee. They say this is. I had a mayor. I heard a mayor on TV on a local news channel say that this is Trump country here in Tennessee, right? All this raggedy, demented stuff that's going on. The mayor of this town said that this is Trump country because they are all for what's going on right now. They think the South is gonna rise again or something. Okay, the way that they're acting around here. Okay. So anyway, what was I at? Uh, they feel a sense of ownership. They still feel a sense of ownership over black people. They feel entitled to your culture, to your emotion, to your very life. They feel entitled to your livelihood. They feel entitled to you. So if you have a group of people that still want to rule over you, that feel like they have the right to do that, why would you be talking about reparations when you're not addressing that elephant in the room? They still feel a sense of ownership toward when it comes to black people. A lot of, I'm not saying all Anglos, but I'm saying a lot of them. So when you see something like a Carmelo Anthony verdict or a Rick Chow a verdict, George Zimmerman, Rittenhouse, this other guy, you got to think about in this day and age, why in the world is this still going on? You know why it's still going on? Because it's Babylon. I truly think America's Babylon now. I'm not going to get biblical today, but it all ties in. Esau runs the system of Babylon. And that system of Babylon, if you know anything about the Bible, that system was very, very much like the system that we have in place here in the Americas today. It was built on colonization, slavery. It was built on economic inequality. It was built on Esau supremacy, okay, over the Hebrews. And it was very successful until it wasn't. It's just like the United States of America. I had said years ago, hey, Madison, that before this country would see a reparation or a redistribution of wealth, which Dr. King was assassinated for beginning to talk about. He wasn't assassinated for the civil rights marches or even the Civil Rights Act being passed. He was assassinated because he was assassinated before the Civil Rights Act was passed. Hey, Uncle Claude. He was assassinated because he started talking about the redistribution of wealth, the poor people's campaign. Okay, now you're messing with their money. They can't have it. Okay? We got to shut that down. Right? They will always feel like this because as long as the Constitution consists of this is three-fifths of a human, they will always feel this way. I don't care how many amendments. This is true too. Built by rich white men for rich white men. That's what this country was built on. You're right. You're right. And Cloud is right too about them considering us three-fifths of a human being, which does play into a fact that they feel. I mean, like we got. Oh, check it out. We're not the only ones, the only people that suffer from ancestral trauma. The trauma from, you know, our ancestors being enslaved was so horrific, it was encoded in our DNA. The way that we move a lot. There was this guy I was reading online a little while ago, a couple of weeks ago. He actually studied black people and how black women pretty much keep the community together, how black women are able to mobilize, how black women are able to work and provide for their families, how black women have you know historically protected those in our community, mainly black men, right? And they will always pivot back to rich white men. And so he did a study on that, right? And he did that study for Project 2025. I can't think of his name, right? So when I read that he had actually studied what held black people together, right? Which is predominantly the black woman. It is no surprise that they did what they did economically to those, was it 300,000 or 30,000 black women that they fired from these corporate jobs, right? It was no surprise. It was no surprise when they got rid of DEI. It was no surprise about what they're doing to our voting rights, right? So when I don't come on here and I don't want to talk about nonsense, this is why. Because people fought and died for our voting rights. And I'm not finna get on here and laugh and kiki and get all flustered and hyped up about something that somebody's got going on with some beef or whatever the hell, right? Because these are the conversations that I had a long time ago that I was called racist for, right? But it's all coming to fruition right now, right? Part of my man is good morning out there. Well, good morning, Claude. Good to see you. I don't have time for that, right? We don't have time for that. Even though you want to push it to the side and act like it's not going on, you don't have time for that. SCOTUS has built a loophole for rich men. Absolutely. Absolutely. This country is run by, we know for a fact it's not run by the people that are elected in office now, right? We know this country a lot. What is it? Over 90% of the congressmen and senators and whatnot have received money from APAC, right? From the Israelis, from Netanyahu's people, right? They have infiltrated your government. Nobody is talking about that. That is the reason why we are at war right now, you know, and on the verge of an even worse war, nuclear war, right? If you will. Yeah, we've been through it for so many years. We used to. We know how to pivot. We know how to make it work. You right, Cloud, right? So there's all this stuff going on at one time, right? And it's all, in my opinion, on purpose, right? It's all on purpose. Even when it comes down to this war. Now, we know, I truly believe, in my opinion, that Trump was allegedly blackmailed into this war, right? The other day, he called somebody, a reporter asked Trump a question. They said that, did you know that, what is his name, the coon over there, Stephen A. Smith, was thinking about running for president. Now, this is not true, because he said he was not thinking about running for president, right? Hey, TT Speaks. Oh, thank you, TT. Good to hear from y'all, too. He said repeatedly that he's not interested in run for president, Stephen A. Smith, right? So they asked the question to Trump, did you know that Stephen A. Smith was, running for president? And he said, if you're running for president, you can't have a low IQ or something like that, right? And then he went to Trump Social or Truth Social or whatever they call it, and called him a dumbass, right? That's what he called him, right? But Stephen A. Smith been cooning his tap dancing and buck dancing his behind off for the Republicans. He one time he was saying something about we can't depend on the Democrats anymore, and they they automatically feel that they're getting a black vote, so we should just surprise them and vote Republican one time, right? Which he was saying that we should just surprise them and vote for Trump. Just forget about the Democratic Party and vote for Trump, and that'll show them. I'm like, huh? That don't even sound right. But that's him trying to uh make you feel like you'll be doing something proactive if you uphold this man in his wrong, right? Now we know the Democrats; they are the lesser evil, right? They know we don't have a party, and you have to go with the lesser evil that is more beneficial for you, right? And it doesn't seem like the Democratic Party is more beneficial from you, right? But at this point in time, like, what other choice do you have, right? And they're making it so hard. Like here in Tennessee, the city of Memphis is predominantly moreover black, right? And so because that city is considered, black, of course when they vote in somebody, when they vote in representative, that representative more than likely is going to be black. They split the voting areas up and put them in different spots. We seen this going on all over the country, so that they won't be able to vote in a predominantly. They won't be able to vote in a black person because they split up the vote. They're mixed all up with the white folks, right? So they doing that all over the country, right? If your vote don't matter, why is everybody trying to convince you either not to vote or to vote Republican if your vote don't matter, right? And then on the other hand, you got to think about it. Trump said he basically wants to be king. Will he even have to vote? Will we? And if we vote again, like, is it going to turn out like this last time? Because a lot of people believe the election was thrown, it was stolen via Elon Musk allegedly, and that's what I believe as well. Honestly, so we just have to wait and see. But here's the thing: even though all this gerrymandering and redistricting and everything in the world, you got the Supreme Court of the United States saying that it is not racist for these people to do what they're doing. The Supreme Court of the United States, right? When you got racism in the highest court in the land legitimizing racism, what are you supposed to do? You still have to mobilize. You still have to fight. Right? 38 states to amend U.S. Constitution. Trump created 31 states. You still have to fight, right? You still have to vote. You should still vote because a lot of people fought and died for your right to vote. Whether you think it's going to make a difference or not, you still need to get out and vote. Oh my God, Miss Olivia, I just said this to my colleague. Hey, A-Train, welcome. And so you still need to get out and vote. They want to discourage you in any way that they can, including using other black people to do so. All these tap dancing sambos you got around here. Okay? They use these people to buffer the barbarity of the system of white supremacy racism. They use your own people against you. Okay? Some rappers. Look at Nicki Minaj, right? Look at Clarence Thomas, which is crying now because he under a whole lot of pressure, right? Look at who else? Stephen A. Smith, for instance. You was pro Trump and all of this and all that, and he done called you low IQ. Okay? You think that siding with the Anglo is going to save you, but it's not. It's just like that little boy when it came to the Nat Turner rebellion. If you guys know about that, Trump is saying he wants to do a third term. Is he even gonna live that long? And folks are saying if he does that, then they will vote for Obama can't run again. He's done his 2 terms. They voting for who? Michelle Obama? Because Barack Obama, he's done his 2 terms. This is Trump's last term via the Constitution. But he don't care about the Constitution. He don't care about the laws of the land. He don't care about the Congress. He don't care about the Senate. He don't care about nothing but what he want to care about. That's all. He is a thug, in my opinion, a crook, a grifter. Okay? But that says a lot about the Anglos in this country. Because they know how he is and they still sticking behind him, a lot of them. America's going, it's going backwards. Jim Crow, right. Red line, yeah, right. Red line, yeah. I already started messing with Cyril. Exactly, it's going backwards. You know why it's going backwards? It's going backwards because it's imploding, right? Now, to some Anglos, they think they got the upper hand right now. But do they really? Because what Anglos don't realize is that system of white supremacy racism, it actually works against them as well. All of this stuff going on in this country, just like it's happening to us, like gas prices, food prices, they're not immune to that. Taking away social programs, they're not immune to that. It's happening to them as well. But because they got them so programmed in their minds, the system has them so programmed and so asleep that they think that it's hurting us and eventually it's going to benefit them. Oh, we're struggling right now, but eventually America's going to be great again. No, it don't work that way. The number of black people I see nowadays degrading the black American community for their podcast, right? And white numbers to boost their views and money tells me all I need to know. I absolutely agree with that, unfortunately. Because they don't believe ish thing. It would surprise me so bad, but child, WS is always Discord. It's tools, Ask Tim Scott, Candace Owens. Yep. White population is dwindling. No white women want to sleep with white men. Well, the thing about that is, the birth rates are low, from what I understand, when it comes to the Anglo population, and that's part of the issue that's going on too. You know, Black Americans, they better wake up. They better wake up. They better. But it's cool. More boycotting than anything. In the last 2 years. And ladies and gentlemen, it's only going to get worse. Got to teach your children, your grandchildren, and nieces. Absolutely, that's what I'm talking about. A lot of black folks don't want to tell their kids the truth. I've been telling mine the truth since forever. You can ask any of them. The U.S. government was made when people couldn't read. The U.S. government was made when a lot of people couldn't read. Damn sure a lot of black people. Damn sure that. You know. But we know that when it comes to boycotting and protesting under the Trump administration, honey, he is not going to be moved. He is still going to do, even when it comes to all those Anglos having those few little no King's Day marches, or whatever they call them. Even they do that half-heartedly, right? They was upset. You seen them all online. Well, why black people weren't out there? You know, all of this and all that. Even when they were protesting concerning people being deported, right? Even those Latinos and Mexicans, or whatever you call it, some of them were upset because they didn't see, in their opinion, any black people out there, or very few, or a couple, right? They didn't understand why they weren't out there. You know why? Because it's not our problem. It is not our problem. See, the thing about immigration is now, you know, you had this child guy, right? And then you had this other. Then they started calling to boycott these Asian, you know, stores like the hair salons. I mean, like the hair, you know, the wig stores and the nail shops and the whatever stores they own in your black community. And there's a history of that. If you guys saw the movie, what was that movie? If you guys saw the movie Sinners, it was giving you a history on how Asians were able to do business in these towns with whites and blacks because they were kind of like the buffer. And so even back then, the agents have been in your community. They've never gone anywhere. So when you get this line online with this Asian man talking about protesting us, or boycotting our stores, it ain't gonna work because y'all need us. No, no, we don't need you. Okay. The only thing you provide is material things like nails, which can get done by black people. Black people sell hair products, they do manis and petties and whatever else. So are you really needed? Really? Do you think the community is gonna crumble because they ain't got a Mexican or a Asian restaurant in their community? No, no, they're not. The problem with black people is they don't stand on business. The problem with black people is they feel entitled to very little in this country. And those entitlements that they feel, they even have them blinded like the Anglos are blinded. Okay? Because a lot of black people don't have enough sense to realize that, hey, you got all these people in your communities. You got the San people in your communities. You got the Asian in your communities. You got everybody in your communities doing better with more businesses than you have in your community, in your own community. And it wasn't like that prior to 1965. Prior to 1965, I will say even prior to Dr. Martin Luther King and the civil rights protests and marches, prior to that, Rosa Parks, we were still sitting on the back of the bus. You didn't have a choice but to have black businesses in your own community, black cab drivers, black hotels and restaurants, black grocery stores, black pharmacies that they called apothecaries, right? All of that was in your community. But because a lot of but after the Civil Rights Act and black people started moving out of communities because they felt like the white man's ice was colder. They felt like the white man's communities was better than their own communities. That was the downfall of our communities, and I think Dr. King realized that. You willfully took money out of your own community and gave it to another community. Willfully. And it didn't have to be like that. Now, when you sidetrack quarterbacking, Twitch trends flow, UOCC. Most 5 people in each country distribute. And I'm trying to keep up with the conversation y'all having with Weaver now. Your child, I don't wear no more either. I'm too old, okay? I'm too old now, and I'm impatient. I don't feel like sitting there that long. I don't have time. We don't need anyone. This is why segregation is time. Cloud, you took the words right out of my mouth for us because we own businesses and communities. Dr. King admitted his mistakes after Malcolm X. Yes, he did. Yes, he did. Because see, Malcolm X. See, we know two things can be right at the same time, right? Malcolm X was, Dr. King was preaching integration, right? And at that point in time, he had to be fighting for integration. He had to. But at the same time, Malcolm X was right when he was preaching, when he was fighting for separate but equal, right? I'm glad that our people are boycotting, absolutely. They both are right. But see, the thing is, we seen how they lose their mind when you get a black community that's doing well and the dollar is circulating in their own community because that's growing generational wealth, right? We saw that with Tulsa, Oklahoma. We saw that with what do you call it? Florida. I forget the name of the town. Somebody remind me. But we've seen it countless number of times. We've seen it even recently here. Was it last year or earlier this year when it was a man? It was a black Rosewood. Thank you, Rosewood and Black Wall Street. Thank you, Claude. We've seen it. We've seen how our communities can work together. We can work together in the community and be successful. They bombed Black Wall Street. They were so upset by it. Okay, they bombed it, burnt it to the ground because our people, our elders, were starting to build something, and they were doing it on their own without the help of the Anglo. Okay, and that made them feel insecure because they can't let you feel like you equal to them. Okay, they know if given time you will surpass them. They know that. So they always have to keep their foot on your neck even to today. Like I said, a little while ago I heard of a man, a black man, a millionaire or something. He was wanting to build a all black town somewhere in Texas, right? Now where he messed up was before he got all the permits that he needed and he got the building done and the plumbing and the whatever, right? He start letting everybody know that, hey, this is going to be an all black town, blah blah this and blah blah that. Well, the local government stepped in and told him he couldn't do that. That was against the law. It was racist and all this and all that. Well, but on the other hand, we still have sundown towns in this country. Okay, we still have towns. I know for a fact we got towns in the state of Tennessee because hello, this is where I live. There are no black people living in these towns, right? There is a town called Heritage, Tennessee. There are no black people in that town. And in my opinion, that is a sundown town. That a lot of black towns got. Yeah, a lot of black towns got burned down, especially during the Red Summer. If you guys have ever heard of the Red Summer, if you haven't, Google it. Because I've done videos on all of this, okay? And I'm not going to break everything down. If you haven't heard of the Red Summer, Google it. A lot of black towns got burnt down. A lot of people's land got took from them because they got ran out. They were given a few hours to leave their land or die. So their land was stolen and resold to Anglos by white folks. That's what was going on in the Red Summer. This whole Jim Crow mentality refuses to leave. That's a way to keep their foot on your back. Okay? And to show you how evil this country continues to be, they refuse to give a few survivors Black Wall Street reparations. How absolutely disgusting. Absolutely. Because like I said, Cloud, they still feel a sense of ownership towards you. And when you feel a sense of ownership towards something, it's just like you own you buy a pair of shoes from the mall, right? You own that pair of shoes. After you buy that pair of shoes, you can do what you want with that pair of shoes. You can wear that pair of shoes, you can dog that pair of shoes out. You can treat that pair of shoes light as a feather. You can keep it clean, take care of it, or you can run them in the ground. Because why? Because you now own those shoes. You bought those shoes. You own those shoes, and you can do what you want to do to them. Okay, that is what a lot of that is what I think is just like the trauma from child slavery is encoded in our DNA. I think that sense of ownership because of slavery and how their Anglo ancestors owned us, they still feel a sense of ownership and entitlement towards us. That's why I said I don't think that I will see reparations in my lifetime. They will burn this country down, which is what they're trying to do basically, before they let something like that happen. And another thing, I think it's Cloud mentioned a few minutes ago, their birth rates are low, right? So if they're losing people, why wouldn't they abolish abortion? Okay, they didn't get rid of abortion because they think it is unethical or ungodly. No, honey, they want these little white women to have more black babies. Okay, and these white women, because of women's liberation, don't want to have them if they don't want to, and they should have to have them if they don't want to. Okay, that's just that's why all women. See, it's a whole lot of things going on at one time. If it wasn't for black people, there would have been no successful woman suffrage movement, because the woman suffrage movement attached itself to the liberation of black people way back, because before it was called what do they call the woman suffrage movement these days? Feminism uh versus womanism, or whatever they call it. But anyway, it would have been none of that, because those white women were still, they had no freedoms like black people didn't have freedoms. They were under the rule of their husbands, and they wanted to be free. So they attached themselves to our plight, just like they attached themselves to DEI, and it benefited them more. It benefited Asians. Okay, when it came to our civil liberties being passed, that didn't only benefit black people somewhat. It benefited Asians. It benefited the Latinos. It benefited everybody wanting to immigrate, here to America. But that's off the work that we done, and they benefited from it, right? The work that Dr. King and his our elders done even benefited white people that were against Dr. King, that were against, that were raccoons, that were against Malcolm X. It benefited them too. But do you think they complained? No, they took the benefit. The earth knows they're harmful and it's working in the background. The earth knows. Right, I agree with you on that. On that, they benefited from it. But just like Babylon, for centuries, Babylon reigned supreme, right? The Romans reigned supreme. Like all great empires, they roam, they reign for a long time. The Asian dynasties, they fell apart. What do you think is happening to this United? You know why they all fall apart? Because they all gained power, but in the wrong way, right? They colonized the people. They clamped. They policed the people. They policed the economy. They want you under their thumb, because if you're not under their thumb, then this type of system is not going to work. Okay, no one has benefited from the civil rights movement more than Caucasian. Well, absolutely, Asian people. The Asian people are upset because they are no longer. The Asians stopped that when you get rid of DEI, they were going to get. They were going to have more. Be granted. More things, like as it pertains to colleges and universities. They felt like DEI was stopping them from getting into colleges and universities. No, honey, the fact that you are Asian is stopping you from getting in these prestigious colleges and universities, right? So they got rid of DEI, and now the Asians are still perplexed as to why their numbers haven't risen when it comes to them getting admitted into these places like Harvard and all those very influential colleges. They want that pedigree. They don't understand why they're still not allowed being into these colleges and universities to get that pedigree. It's because you Asian and you ain't white. That's the reason why. But a Ricky Child can still shoot a black man in the back, a black boy in the back, and get away with it. You know why? Because when you do something like that, you still working the system against the system's number one target. What is the system's number one target? Y'all tell me. When it comes to the system of Jim Crow, when it comes to white supremacy, racism, can somebody tell me who the number one target is? Who has a target on their back more than anybody in this system? And you have to wonder why. Does anybody know? They're not being admitted because word has spread about their heinous cheating networks. They're not being admitted primarily because they're Asian and they ain't white. Black woman, black men. Thank you. The number one target is black men. And black men's number one target, though, is, honestly, not all of them, is black women. They mad at black women. You mad at black women for what? Protecting you all of these years, throwing her body in front of yours. You mad at them because they finally see the deal and they tired of fighting for you, just like they tired of fighting for everybody else. But when it comes to the system of white supremacy racism, the number one target is the black man. Now, we know that, now we're not going to say collectively, but when it comes to black men, a lot of individual black men, they don't take care of their families. They don't even acknowledge them. They still at home with mama. They living off the black woman. The black woman is going to work. She's bring home the bacon and frying it up in the pan. He just sitting there all day doing whatever for whatever reason. It's not all black men, but it's a lot of them. I'm keeping it buck. Okay? That's right. Those are not men, they're males. I agree with that, Cloud. But then you mad at this woman. You come home, she come home from work, she still cook the food, she still take care of the kids, she take care of your ass. You still treat her like she ain't nothing. You know why? Because you ain't doing what you supposed to do. So that means that you are feeding into the system, because you, as a black man, are supposed to be the head. But as long as that system can keep that target on your back and keep you down and keep lynching you, modern day lynching you, Jim Crow style, that's what they're going to keep doing. But see, I have heard a lot of young black men, not all, because a lot of them are stupid and they only focused on capitalism and all of this and all that. That's why when they call for the ball players, the college ball players to boycott, that is why something like that wouldn't work. Because a lot of young black people today are too capitalistic, right? So, and they're not going to martyr themselves the way Colin Kaepernick did, okay? They're not going to do that. So that's not going to work. So we have to have a different strategy, right? So they're the number one target, right? They're still, but see, here's the thing. When it comes, they're the number one target is on their back. Think about it. It's because they fear a Nat Turner springing up. They fear a Malcolm X springing up. They fear a Martin Luther King type. They fear a leader springing up. He was a rapper, but because he was speaking truth. And they felt like if Tupac had been alive today, what could he have achieved by now? Would he have grown into more than just a rapper? Would he have become a leader in his community like he was destined to lead? He had that in his blood because his parents were Black Panthers. So he grew up with pro-blackness, first and foremost. I mean, why do we think Mexicans had a lot of money? So because it worked as a unit, right? In a nuclear family, that's right. The one thing that we don't have is unity. Clearly, we don't all stick together when it counts, which means we don't have allyship. If you don't want to have unity all the time, which is no family is going to get along all the time. You can at least have allyship. Those Anglos and those Mexicans and Asians and every other group of people, they exhibit not only unity, not even necessarily unity, but allyship. Allyship is, I may not like you, but I'm gonna stand beside you for the betterment of my own people. So we don't like each other, but we gonna ride for one another until we get this job done. That is allyship, right? Unity is we all getting along, and we moving along, and we fighting whatever evil we got to fight at the present point in time because we are unified. No, we are never going to be unified, but at least we can learn to be allies with one another. At the very least, when we're not doing that right now. But a lot of young people are waking up. And because a lot of young people are waking up, and like I said, because Barack Obama, a supposed black man, allegedly, however you want to see him, okay? But the reason why he was elected president is because he's not descended from slavery. But that's another discussion for another day. Just like Kamala Harris, not descended from slavery, okay? At all. You got to think about that. Was raised by his Anglo granddaddy, okay? Got to think about that. But anyway, if you can't achieve unity, you can at least try to 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 exercise allyship. Okay, especially in this Jim Crow 2.0 era, in my opinion, because you just seen Carmelo Anthony get legally lynched, in my opinion, right? One of them is FBA. No, they're not. I agree. I agree. Neither one of them is I call it eight oaths. Is there's the eight oaths, then there's the FBA, whatever you want to call it. They're not descended from slavery. Black women, we gotta stop being nasty to one another too. We all we got. That includes black men. That's what I mean by allyship. We're not never gonna be unified. Now with the mindset that we have, some of it is our fault, some of it is not. It's a byproduct of slavery. It just is what it is. But you can practice allyship. That is absolutely achievable. No, she's not. She's not. She's not. She's not ADO. She's not FBA. Same way Barack Obama is not ADO. He's not FBA. And so, but like I said, it's a discussion for other days. But until we can start exercising allyship, nothing is going to change. But see, I got hope for these younger people, right? Some of them. Some of them is just, Lord have mercy. Okay? They are willfully ignorant. They think it's cute to be willfully ignorant. Okay? They live their whole lives for the like button and the love button on Facebook or YouTube or Instagram, you know. But that is another diversionary tactic. That's all, in my opinion. The internet. That's a diversionary tactic, right? This is an altered state. It's what do they call it? When you put on those goggles and you become you in that reality right there. You're existing in that reality with those VR goggles or whatever you call it. That's the world they live in. Some of us live in the real world. Okay. I was told that Willie Lynch papers never existed. It sure as heck has been effective. Right. Well, there was in fact a man that gave that speech, that Willie Lynch speech. I forgot his name. They found the speech and confirmed it. But people were saying it was fake, but they actually found the speech and confirmed it. But then whether they added on to it or took away, it was absolutely right. A lot of black people suffer from Willie Lynch syndrome. That's what I'm calling it. Okay, most don't even have respect for themselves. And you're absolutely right, Jill. You're absolutely right. And a lot of self hate. See that's propaganda too, to get you to hate yourself. Okay. A lot of this raccooning going on is nothing but self hate. It's nothing but assimilation. You want so bad to assimilate. Everything, with some people, I be seeing these posts and they be amazing me. Everything that's anti-black, some of these black people agree with it. Okay? And I'm like, well, you do realize that this is affecting you as well. You are not exempt because you are agreeing with it. Okay? You are not exempt. They think you are a clown. So when they get ready to kick you to the curb, they're going to kick you to the curb. Because you worked for them for a while, but you done got fired now. So they can only hold back from you for so long. But eventually, you're going to get chopped up too. All these other races were brought here to be buffers to us. Yes, some of us have intelligence. to understand that. But far too many of us are trapped in the system of America in one way or another. Well, you're only trapped in the system if you are not willing to open your eyes and look at what's going on around you, and not want to not deal with it. Do you see what I'm saying? That's how you get trapped in the system. You still got chains on your mind after all these centuries and all this done and all that we've been through. Your mind is still enslaved after all this time, generation after generation. Okay? It don't make no sense. And all the time, like I said, and then you got all of these black men that voted for Trump, because a large percentage of them voted for Trump. I'm thinking, well, why would you vote against your best interest? You know why? Cause self hate. They mad at they mad at themselves. They hate themselves. They mad at black women. Uh, uh because Trump signed the bill deporting a whole lot of black people. So that supposed to meant what? Olivia, you need to do a live more often, just so the younger ones can like, oh, well, thank you. But I haven't talked about this subject in a long time, Beats and Cornbreads, because I stopped hitting my head up against a brick wall when they start calling me racist over in the beef sector. I was like, well, okay. But ain't nobody wrote under my comments under one of my old videos. You was right the whole time. I see it now. You was right. Okay. You was right about these interlopers. You was right about Esau the whole time. The synagogue of Satan the whole time. Now it's all coming to fruition. But okay. But anyway, uh, but when it comes to at the end of the day, per the title, "This Is America." The reason why I spelled it like that, I spelled it like that because that song that came out a couple of years ago, that "This Is America" song. I can't think of the guy that wrote it, but he's telling the truth. You still getting people lynched, modern day lynched. Jim Crow 2.0 is in full effect. Did Jim Crow even go anywhere to be 2.0, or has it always still just been Jim Crow? That system was never abolished, in my opinion. Okay, you still getting people hanged, and they're saying it's suicide, right? They're saying they unalive themselves. In this day and age, you get people, young black boys, what Zimmerman did to Trayvon, as far back as Emmett Till, and this little fella right here. They love to kill young, unalive young black men. You have to wonder why. Oh, that's where I was. I forgot where I was. I strayed off. The reason why the black man has a target on his back from birth is because they fear retribution, right? They don't want you to be another Nat Turner, right? They don't want, but see, and then another thing, another way they have always tried to whitewash slavery. Always, they have never. If you don't know about the slave rebellions, history, his story, the white man's version of history, is never going to tell you about the uprisings. They want you to think for centuries, right, that you were just laying down and taking it, right? Your ancestors was just laying down and willingly being enslaved, willingly being whipped and essayed and dehumanized on a daily basis, and being treated worse than horses or cows or sheep or goat. You know, you just laid down, and your ancestors just laid down and took it. And that is not the truth. That's why they don't want to talk about the slave rebellions, right? At one point in time in history, the slave rebellions were so random and so frequent, they had to call in the National Guard. They had to call in the army, especially down south, because the rebellions were getting so bad. And Nat Turner, in my opinion, is the reason why when you see something, when you see this, when you realize that there's a target on a black man's back, is because the last thing they want the black man to do is rise up. As long as you're talking about against the black women, as long as you're not caring about the community, that's cool. But you better not rise up, because then that's gonna be a problem. Okay? They don't want no more Nat Turners around here. They don't want no more Malcolm X's around here. They don't want no more Dr. Kings around here. Okay? They don't want no more great orators around here like James Baldwin. They don't want anything. They don't want you to be they don't want you to be emboldened to fight for your very freedoms, right? Now the day has gone past. See, the problem with then another thing that they fear as far as retribution goes, when our elders were fighting for our civil and human rights, we protested, we sat in, we were nonviolent, we were asking for our civil and human rights, right? So for as long as you are asking, the very people that withhold these civil liberties from you, as long as you are asking for your civil liberties, they don't want you to realize that they're never going to give it to you, because you're asking and they're saying no, right? But they don't want you to realize that, hey, if you want your civil liberties, you're going to have to fight for it. Okay? That's what you're going to have to do. You can't. Well, Master, can I be free now? What is the answer going to be? No. Master, can you set me free? Master, will you treat me equally? Even if I want to separate from you? Will you allow me to separate from you and not bother me? All I want to do is go on about my own business. I don't want nothing from you. I just want to be away from you. The answer will be what? No. So for as long as you're asking for reparations and not fighting for them, as long as you're asking for your civil and human rights in this country, the answer is going to be no. The only other option is to fight for them. So when they go to talking about there will be another civil war in this country, I don't see, and that is what Project 2025 wants. They want to antagonize you in every way that they can. They want to rile up black people, including doing stuff like they did to Carmelo Anthony and this child and so many other black men and women that were unalive. George Floyd. Until black people realize that, hey, if there's going to be any saving of this country, which really there's not, in my opinion, black people gonna have to do it. There's any way that this country can be saved, black people gonna have to do it. Okay? Because when it comes to these Anglos, they will burn it down before they give you 1 penny in reparation, before they stop feeling a sense of entitlement towards you, okay? Before they take their foot off your neck, before they grind that system to a halt, before they give back this stolen land, because before they acknowledge the fact that the slaves, our ancestors' blood is in this soil as well, right? So if you want to go out and be separate but equal, because your blood is in this soil and you help build this country, you ought to be able to do that. Okay? Them people that ran Black Wall Street and Rosewood and so many other black communities, they should have been given the right to do that and should have been left alone. Because their ancestors' blood was in this soil, is in this soil. Just like the Anglos' blood is in the soil. But they don't want to acknowledge it when you don't want you say have some black people saying, I don't want to be called African American, I want to just be called American, right? Do you realize that when they have to put something in front of American, that is them saying that you are still 3/5. We don't consider you being American. Hey L'Oreal, how you doing? It's been forever. It's black annihilation. I agree with the purpose. Yes, it was. Yes, that's what it's intended for. But everything they try to do to us, beans and cornbread, it's already done to them. What Celie say? Everything you got planned for me is already done to you. Okay, until you do right by me, everything you touch is gonna crumble. Thank you, Chlorio. And that's what's going on right now. But because they are so hate filled, and they are so fear filled because they fear retribution, they fear equality. They fear the birth rate. At this point in time in this country, anybody that's willing to get rid of a black person, they're going to get off. Look at Ricky Chow right here on the screen. They don't like that. If it was a white man that was chasing him down and he would have shot him in the back, just like he got found innocent of killing that little black boy, they would have found that white man innocent of killing him. Now, if he would have been running down a little white boy and he would have shot him in the back, he would have been in jail. Okay? But because it was a black boy, what happened? Nothing. Look at George Zimmerman. People for years saying, why is George Zimmerman still around? Why is he this, that, and the other? Don't you know that man is going crazy? He is in prison in his brain. Every once in a while, you will see some information about what he got going on, and it's nothing. Madness. Because vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Okay? And when the Lord get tired of a thing, he get tired of it. All right? Just like he got tired of Babylon, he gonna get tired of this version of Babylon. Because there's been many Babylons that have fallen. Roman Empire. The Europeans are colonizing the world. The Brits and all of them over there. Colonizing the world. The French, the Dutch. They're all over there on the continent of Africa. They don't even need to. Do you realize that, I think that when it comes to Africans and Americans, a lot of them think that they don't like us black people. And I'm talking about Africans. They call us lazy. All the propaganda that's being fed to white peoples, they are fed to other black peoples around the globe as well. Other African peoples, other melanated people, should I say, around the world as well. They think we got it easy over here. So of course, a lot of but see the young people, once again, a lot of them, I've seen videos where they are starting to talk about the plight of black people in America. Why is that? Because they're opening their eyes to their plight in their own countries. I seen where, what was it? What is that leader's name? He told Bill Gates that our people are not guinea pigs. I said it's about time. It's about time somebody said it out loud. Let's do all kind of experiments on those African peoples over there. Zimmerman is homeless. Yeah, and damn bad. I love it for him. The vengeance is mine, saith the Lord. Okay? Cat servant, etc. Everything his name is mentioned. I read about what's happening. Yeah, he damn bad. This sound like he losing his mind. Okay? Same thing happened to Judas, happened to him. Okay? And folks, the Roman Empire never died. We are living in Babylon right now. Yeah, this is modern day Babylon. Okay? But in my opinion, the Roman Empire, it never really did that. But it evolved into those kings and queens of England, and those kings and queens or whatever when it came to the Dutch and the and the French and the all of this and all that. It evolved into that sort of thing, right? It's still Babylon. I agree with that. What we got going on in this country is the United States of America, in my opinion, is modern day Babylon. And it's gonna fall. We see it fall. You know why it's gonna fall? Because they are destroying it from within. It's imploding. We're not imploding it. They or those over the system. That is why this Babylon is imploding. That's why they're destroying it themselves. And you know, that's why they underrated Robert Mugabe. Oh, absolutely. Yeah. Mugabe wasn't playing with him. But I just hate that even over there on the continent, a lot of those countries refuse to ally to gather together an allyship. Because if those countries in Africa, is over 28 or 29 of them, right? If they allied up, I'm not gonna say unified, I'm gonna say allied up with one another, they could drive everything that ain't melanated out of their continent. Now, when they started colonizing, it's gonna be colonized and the Asians even over there now, right? They say they got places, Asian communities on the continent of Africa, and the Africans can't even go into the stores or go into the communities. They say the Germans got a homestead over there, and we know what's going on in South Africa, right? Over 50. Yes, we need to allyship. I was talking about that earlier. You're going to have to rewind a little bit, Beans and Cornbread. I was talking about that. Absolutely. I was talking about us. We ain't going to be unified, but we can be allies towards one another. We don't need no other race of people allying with us because of unconscious bias. That's not going to work. No, they're not your ally. No, they're not going to never be your ally. No, I don't care what you say or what you want to think. You don't need no white savior. You don't need no white ally. You need an ally with your own damn people. And if you want something, you're going to have to fight for it. You got to stand your ground. They will burn this country to the ground, then give it to absolutely, then give up their supremacy. Absolutely. You're absolutely right. And that's what they're in the process of doing, Florio. That's what they're in the process of doing. But see, here's the tricky thing though. I'm sick of Africa. They allow all manner of other races to go over and take over. They outnumber every race there. Yes, they do. But allow them to take over. You know why? Because they won't ally up. All of the countries in Africa, they won't ally up. That's why they don't even consider the continent of Africa to be a threat. Okay? They can be shooting nuclear bombs back and forth between, like, let's say, Russia and the U.S., right? Back and forth. Iran can be nuked by Israel. It won't be no bomb. Your tribalism is a good reason why, but it's 2026. And they need to realize what's going on, just like it's 2026. And we need to realize what's going on. You know? They need to get off the tribalism, not even unify, allyship. They need to learn how to ally up with one another, Chlorio. They ain't got to be unified, but they can agree to be allies. To get all of these colonizers off of their continent. They have the ability. They said that Ryan Coogler, is making a movie about Mansa Musa. At one point in time, he had more gold and more wealth than anybody on the planet. They're supposed to be making a movie about that. I was like, well, shoot, I can't believe it ain't another slave movie. Okay? We done had enough slave movies. I agree with who said that, Snoop Dogg. I'm tired of slave movies. I got what he meant by that. Okay? What about a movie showing how these plantations, these slaves on a lot of these plantations rebelled against the overseers and the masters, Okay, how they fought till they had to call in armed forces. How about making one of those movies? Cause see, that's what they don't want you to see. They don't want you to get the notion in your mind to have the nerve that Carmelo Anthony, the unmitigated gall he had to defend himself. We can't have that. We gotta legally lynch him. We gotta send him to jail pretty much for his whole adult life, 35 years. There has been a movie about. There is a Nat Turner movie, but it's watered down. But there is a Nat Turner movie. What was it? The black guy, one of those black actors. I forgot his name. He did that black. He did after he made that Nat Turner movie. They won't hire him anymore. I haven't seen him in anything for a while. I forget his name. But he made the Nat Turner movie. They did a movie about John Brown. They need to do another one. What was that fella's name? He made the Nat Turner movie, and then Hollywood turned against him. You can find it on like your Fox stick or something. Nat Turner. Oh God, what was his name? Can't think of the little fella's name, but yeah, I don't see him out here anything from him anymore after he did that movie. Child, we don't need no more slave movies. No, we don't. So these bigots can continue their propaganda and indoctrination. Exactly. I didn't even want to use that word, but you're right. They indoctrinate them people, their children, from the time that they're babies. Okay, because you don't know what these these good Anglos is saying. These crafty crackers is saying at the kitchen table. You know why? Because you ain't there. Nate Parker. Thank you. That was his name, Nate Parker. I haven't seen him in anything in forever since he did that Nat Turner movie. They're more basic type movies. Africans have an unnatural need to only worry about self and will. That's true. That's true. That because they some stingy people. Birth of a Nation, Nate Parker. That was the name of it. Thank you. Oh my! If y'all haven't seen Birth of a Nation by Nate Parker, and if you haven't seen the original Birth of a Nation, those are two movies that you guys need to watch. The black and white version of Birth of a Nation, as well as Nate Parker's Birth of a Nation, which is about the Nat Turner Rebellion. I think it's because of extreme scarcity for generations, in my opinion, and interactions. That yeah, absolutely, I agree. I agree with that. But while there is no reason for nobody to be starving on the no Africans to be starving on the content of and not having any type of wealth, generational wealth, land, homes, everything that they need on that continent is on that continent. And they are indigenous to that area. I'm talking about indigenous Africans. I'm not talking about white South Africans. I'm not talking about the Dutch, the French, the Asians, the Russians, the Americans. I'm not talking about any other country that's over there that's colonized and recolonized. I'm talking about those peoples over there. There's no reason for them to be without anything. And a lot of those countries over there are industrialized. They're more advanced than our country in a lot of ways when it comes to technology and things of that nature. I saw that in school in my African American Studies class. A Birth of a Nation was extreme. Absolutely. The original Birth of a Nation, absolutely. If you haven't seen that black and white movie, go see it. I mean, watch it. You can probably find it on Prime Video. You know? And so, yeah, they are extremely greedy and they are corrupt as heck. They don't practice allyship. Right now, Israel is so. I don't know what they're going through, but they are acquiring acre. They have already acquired. They say over, is it 2,500 or 3,500 acres of whatever country that was where it flooded real bad in Africa. They bought up almost all of that land, and they are fixing it up as some kind of resort. That's what they're saying, resort town for the Israelis, for them to go over there and have holiday on the continent. It's in Kenya, and the Kenyan president is friends with Netanyahu, and so he sold them all of these acres of land in Kenya, the land that flooded, and they're fixing it up for those Israelis. I guess it's their plan B or something. You got to think about it, because the Ashkenazis, they're like gypsies. They don't mind moving around. Okay, so I guess it's their backup plan on the continent of Africa. They finally had France. They finally had France in a chokehold. Macron made one trip over there, and all of a sudden everything was okay. Africa suffers from trash government, so absolutely, they absolutely do, Chloe, because they're too greedy and they don't know how to stand with one another. You don't know how to stand on your own in 2026. Okay? You can't understand how to get rule of your own continent in 2026 because you're so greedy and you're so corrupt. And you're still afraid of the colonizers. It's absolutely more of them on that continent. With so many of them are educated now that only don't even live there. You know, could you think what could happen on the continent of Africa if they allied up with one another, and they also allied up with melanated people around the world, including us black people, if they wanted to ally up with us? Could you imagine what that continent would be like? We would sell everything we own to get our whole family over there. But I won't see it in my lifetime either. I truly believe that we can forge partnerships in key sectors in both our cultures. Can get past the stereotype barriers established. But so absolutely, absolutely, I was talking about the stereotypes that the African peoples feed into as it pertains to us black people over here. Get rid of the stereotypes. But I've seen a lot of younger Africans, on videos and whatnot. They are starting to get it. You know what I mean? They're starting to get it. I don't believe I talked this long. Y'all got me. I'm almost 2 hours. All right, I've been going a long time, ain't I? But I really want to talk about this. I ain't talked about it in a long time. But I just wanted to get that point across. Carmelo Anthony is just, I mean, he ain't the first one, he ain't gonna be the last. What about have you guys ever heard of George Stanley? Let me pull up his picture before I go. Just the last one, I promise. Whoop. If I can get it. Did I take a right here? This is George Stanley. This little boy was 14 years old. Hold on, let me get back to the thing. He is the youngest person that has ever been executed in the United States of America. In case you guys haven't heard it. On June, I believe it was June 16th, he was executed for the murder, for the unaliving, or should I say, of two little Anglo girls. Right? He wasn't exonerated for this murder. And he had an all-white jury. He was executed in less than a year, because we know normally it takes them years to, if you're going through the motions for a person to be executed. They executed him in, I think, like 84 days or something like that. They said he was so small that he had to sit on a Bible to be able to reach to get that thing over his head, and the thing was so big that it was flopping up and down as he was being executed. It flew all the way off. But it was later found, and them Anglos know that this little boy didn't do this, but because him and his sister, the little Anglo girls, is riding past on a bike on the other side of the tracks looking for something, and they stopped and asked him and his sister a question, they automatically assumed that he did this to these two little Anglo girls. which later but he really wasn't officially exonerated until, was it the 80s or something like that? They officially exonerated him. They know he didn't do it in the first place. Okay? But this is George Stanley. He was executed when he was 14 years old for something that he did not do. Okay? When you see, let me take this off of here. Hold on. I get emotional about that. Whew, it pisses me off and take me there. I'm not trying to go there on this video. Hold on, y'all. Hold on. No, ma'am. No, ma'am. It made me want to throw up in the back of my throat when I think about something like that. 14 years old. We ain't gonna think about Emmett Till, right? What about Emmett Till? Huh? Over and over again. On up to the day. Tamir Rice. We talked about Trayvon. Now we talking about our young men, our babies. Okay? Now they done legally lynched Carmelo for defending himself. All right, the list goes on and on and on. My niece is here. You know, I can bring her on this thing right now, and she can tell y'all about what I tell they kids, what I've always told them. Okay? I tell them that about the realities that are going on in this world as it pertains to black people. You gotta watch your back. You gotta learn how to maneuver. It's okay to you gotta go out and you get a job, you know, and work with these people, but you always gotta watch because they're around the corner trying to stick a knife in your back. They are not your friend. They are not your ally. Okay, just because they might want to sleep with you because they like black people, don't mean they like black people. Okay, don't get it twisted. They want to fetishize our women. That don't mean they like black people. Okay, just because they want to sleep with you, they feel like they're entitled to do that and still be racist towards you. Because why? Because that's what Massa used to do. Okay, only now you're doing it. You're consensually doing it. Okay, and they go for the men and the women. Okay. And you're right about that, because you need people need to know the truth. A lot of people don't know the horrors. They don't know. My grandmama told me, and I told y'all this before, because she was raised up in Georgia. My grandmama was, and they would have to walk down this long road to school, back and forth to school every day. It was this big tree that they used to pass for school every single day. And oftentimes than not, when they passed that big tree, they would see somebody a body hanging from that tree. Mostly men, sometimes women. And I think that I told my grandmama, I felt like that was strategic. They was trying to give y'all a warning. You know, these kids going to school, they would see these bodies hanging from this tree. It was like the norm as they walking back and forth to school. See, it's all little things like that go on. But if your family don't talk about it, you don't know. All you got is the history books. This is why white men are scared of black people. They are scared they might get the same. Yeah, they fear retribution. I've said that forever. I absolutely agree. They fear retribution. That's why they shoot the black men down like that. Hey, Colette, how you doing? They fear retribution. They don't want there to be another Nat Turner. Okay? Because they fear if a rebellion ever does start, who will have to be the ones the mentally, the black woman is stronger and more strategic. Physically, we know the black man is stronger physically, right? So they want to keep black men and black women separated, not only from raising a strong black family, but they want to keep you separated because they don't want you strategizing with one another, right? You got the brain and you got the brawn. They don't want the muscle and the brain to come together because that's called revolution. If the muscle and the brain come together, honey, that's called revolution. When you realize that you ain't gonna get nothing by asking for it in the terms of equality, in any type of humanity in this country, when you realize that you're gonna have to fight for it and asking for it and marching for it and protesting for it, ain't gonna get it. When you realize that if you want it, you're gonna have to fight for it. That's what they fear too. That's why they buy all these guns up and all of this and all of that. Because they fear that. Hold on, y'all, I gotta take this call. Lord have mercy. Pam. Sorry about that, y'all. I didn't even take the call. I told my niece to handle it. It was who protected me. Yeah, yeah. The brains is always gonna protect the men if they can. But see, the brains, us black women, a lot of us black women step. Oh, you never heard of the story from the clouds? Google Georgetown. You never heard of the history? Yeah, absolutely. It's okay. It's a lot of stuff they don't want you to know. A lot of atrocities they don't want you to know about that have gone down in this country. The Carmelo Anthony's and all of that, the George Floyd's, the shoot, what the world saw happen to George Floyd, that wasn't nothing compared to watching a man being torn feathered, right? Hot tar being poured over his body and being feathered. That ain't nothing compared to seeing a man or a woman that got tired of taking it from the plantation owner, or couldn't take it no more from Jim Crow and decide to fight back. They tie his arms and his legs to horses on to horses on the right side, to horses on the left side, and make the slave come around or the black people come around, and watch this black person be torn apart because he dared to fight back. Body literally torn in half. And what about that man? I guess it was about 10 or so years ago that they tied him to the back of a truck and dragged him up behind that truck until he died. This is all of that stuff they don't want you to know about. Okay? And I don't know, and then we ain't gonna talk about how they did black babies. They turned them into gator bait and stuff like that. We've all heard that. It's a true story. They just ain't saying it. It happened. Ripping that babies from its mama when the mama is asleep, tying rope around him, throwing him in the water like he chicken liver or something when you catching a catfish because you want to catch a gator. See, that is why they want to whitewash history. Okay, because they don't want to recognize or admit how sick and vicious they really are. Left to their own devices. It's very sick and very, 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 very vicious. Okay? It make it so bad. If all black people left the United States of America right now, for whatever reason, they will start turning themselves apart in this country. Okay? We're seeing that right now because black people won't intervene. They don't have nothing to do with these No Kings marches. They ain't saying nothing about what Trump doing, or nothing. People's in the uproar about the child or the Carmelo Anthony's, but nothing like it could be. You know what I mean? Because black folks is tired of protesting, going nowhere because it ain't working. So we just laying back and watching. We know how to move through the system. That's just how it is. But don't think we ain't paying attention. Okay? They don't know how to mobilize and do anything, but they've always been able to mobilize against us, though. Yeah, absolutely. So I don't think it really can't care about it. Yeah, absolutely. Hey, Geechee girl, how you doing? This Owen Chad. James Bird is the man who got dragged. Oh, thank you. In Texas. Thank you. That's what I'm talking about. Absolutely. It was like well over a decade ago. I remember that much. I couldn't remember. It's just so much happened. We ain't gonna talk about Sandra Bland, Breonna Taylor, Breonna, that lady that was shot because of a pot of hot boiling water. We ain't gonna talk about her. We ain't gonna talk about that Gowan girl. I can't think of her name. That was killed in her apartment. Her baby was shot. It's just so time and time again. Atiana Jefferson. Just over you could just name the list goes on and on and on. Modern day lynching. Okay, that's all it is. Why? Because they fear retribution. Because they know that eventually you're gonna get tired of asking. Okay? You're gonna get tired of asking. And then you're gonna realize that hey, if I want anything done around here, I'm gonna have to stop asking because clearly it ain't working. And I'm gonna have to fight for it. Okay? And they know that. They realize it. So when you don't see black people out here marching and protesting, with these Doe King speeches and all these Doe King days and all this and all of that, uh, we already know why. We ain't got time for that no more. We ain't got nothing to do with that anyway. When it comes to Trump, we didn't break it and we ain't got to fix it. Okay? If I think about all the devastation, you would lose your mind, Clorio. You're absolutely right. You would lose your mind thinking about all of this. Yeah, yeah, yeah. And they still lynching us. Absolutely, modern day lynching. Absolutely. I called my nephew this morning to check on him. He's a truck driver. Yes, you have to. Black Americans have to compartmentalize this S. We got absolutely. You have to compartmentalize. You got so much stuff coming at you, like I said earlier, Clorio. At any given time, it's hard to find one thing to fight for because you got so much stuff going on, and they do that on purpose. They want to keep you off kilter. They don't want you to be able to focus. They don't want you to not unify because we don't see it coming, but ally up, if you will, okay? They don't want you to agree to ally to fight for what it is that you want from this country, from what you are owed from this country. Why do you have to ask over and over again for reparations? And we know that you are owed, they know that you are owed reparations. Okay? Wait a minute. Hold on, y'all. Hold on a minute. But anyway, but yeah, that's what they fear. He's in Beaumont, Texas. When he told me that, my heart sank. I told him to hurry up and get out of there. I know that's right. Exactly. Walter Scott family is fighting to keep the white cop in jail who was sentenced 20 years. Now his projected release is 2032. In 6 years, he will be free. If they lose the fight to get, yeah, he'll be free. Absolutely. They lied to us. We just talked about that bean cornbread. We talked about beans and cornbread. You're gonna have to rewind the video, but I told these people that I know for a fact that sundown towns are still a thing because there's a town in Tennessee called Heritage, Tennessee. It is all white, and you best believe it's a sundown town. There are still all white. They don't want you to have an all black town, but there are still all white towns, especially in the state of Tennessee. I live here. I know. Okay. It's just all this thing. But that's why I put the title of the video, because the Carmelo Anthony case, it's just the standard Jim Crow. It ain't nothing we ain't never seen before. Okay? And until we fight to stop it, we're going to continue seeing it. It's just the bottom freaking line. It's just how it is. You know. And you have to understand why somebody or a group of people don't want to martyr themselves. Okay? But until you get tired of a thing, until you truly get tired of it, until you say, I don't care no more, it's going to be what it's going to be, it's going to continue being what it is. Okay? Because asking for your freedoms and your civil liberties, clearly that's not working. Marching, protesting, singing, Black Lives Matter, chanting, don't work. California's full of sundown towns. Don't sleep on it. I don't know nothing about California. Derek Chauvin out right now. Get you say that. Yeah, they trying to get Derek Chauvin out right now. Absolutely they are. That's their hero. Mm-hmm. It don't make no sense, but that's their hero. But anyway, y'all, I'm gonna have to get off of here. I hope y'all got something out of this. They want people to believe it's all peachy here. I don't know why. I don't know why. That's part of them wanting to whitewash history. Oh, we didn't do all of that. We're not that way. Like you don't want the world to know about your depravity. But the thing is, you can whitewash it all you want to. You can try to. But because this little thing called the internet, even if black folks don't read a book or white folks never heard of, whatever, I'm gonna say black folks never heard of a lot of atrocities that went on, doing about it online. They don't even have to go to college. Okay, folks say Hollywood think calories is inclusive. Okay, Carmelo family did him a disservice by hiring that particular one. Yeah, they said they did. Absolutely. I don't know why they would do that anyway. Like, why would you do that? And did you know that before I leave, this all I got, because I gotta do something. Did you know that what is it? The where you get the donations, what is it called? Anyway, they closed his account. They closed they closed the page, they shut it down. People were still giving donations. The GoFundMe, they shut it down. Now there was one for Metcalf as well. That one is still up. But that one for Carmelo Anthony, they closed that account down. They shut it down. They totally removed it. Why is that? Yeah, GoFundMe. They shut it down. They sure did. They closed it. Absolutely. Not the family, the GoFundMe people. It's just like they was trying to allow, the family used that money to move. The family. No, they didn't. No, they didn't. But see, they should have been moving before their boy got in trouble. Before that child had to do something so drastic that cost him his freedom and put him right back on a prison plantation. They should have moved before then. See, I learned early on in my young life, I don't need to be bougie to the point to where I live somewhere I'm not wanted. No, thank you. No, thank you. No, thank you very much. I don't think I want to live like that. And every time you turn, they raise legal fees on GoFundMe. Look at that Cal Rittenhouse. He got well over $1 million. That curly haired guy that killed the guy on the train. Millions of dollars. Billions of dollars for quote unquote legal fees and whatever else. Okay. They did move using that money. No, they didn't. But they had to for safety reasons. They said they did not use that money, Geechee, to move, but they did move. They said for safety reasons. Those people, that man, that have you, them people, they were not struggling in any kind of way. They was doing real good in that town. Making a real good living. Those people were not, economically depressed, if you will, in any way. Charleston White is giving 75K towards Melo's appeal attorney. Well, it ain't gonna be through GoFundMe, I tell you that. But anyway, y'all, I got to get off of here. I have absolutely enjoyed talking to you guys today. I'm sure you can tell because it's been over 2 hours, but I haven't had a discussion like this in a very long time. Because people start calling me racist. I said, well, now I'm gonna talk about it. Because do they see everything that I was talking about going on? I mean, can you understand where I'm coming from now that it's in your face, or do you still think that I am racist? Because I am just simply telling you the truth via my eyes, and not only my eyes, via history. Okay, it would be nice for Oprah, etc., to help. Oprah sold out a long time ago, child. Ain't no hope for that thing. She twerking around over there in synagogue of Satan. She one of them demons too. Okay. But anyway, I love you guys. It's not gonna take me, hopefully, that long to come back, again on another day, because I love these discussions. I think they are absolutely on time right now. They are timely. But I got several of these types of videos, y'all, in my old videos. So if y'all want to hear some more, I've always been, Clorio, I've said I was pro black forever. You know what I mean? So yeah, I'm pro. I've been saying that for years. People was calling me, I can't stand them fake pro blacks and all of this and all of that there and blah 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 blah. Cause to be pro black don't mean I gotta uphold you in your wrong. To be pro black don't mean I can't talk ish to you. Okay. To be pro black means to be for the betterment of my people overall, not necessarily individually, but absolutely collectively. And so if you don't fit in that box, you just don't fit in that box, because all of us ain't gonna be saved. Okay, you can see that by the Stephen A. Smiths in the world, and the SCOTUS up there, with his ignorant self looking stupid, sitting in the highest court in the land. But then you got Katanji up there fighting. But it's more of them that are irrational than the SCOTUSes that are rational, unfortunately. The whole thing is rigged. The whole game is rigged. Okay? But anyway, I gotta go. I love you guys. You can't help if you have a strong will for your people. Absolute. I have never not said I wasn't pro black. I don't care what nobody have negative to say about it. I don't give a damn. I am what I am. It is what it is. Okay? I remember what they said. I've been hearing that for years, and was heard when you hit that live button. Thank you, Chlorio. Thank you, Chlorio. I've never said I was not pro black. Never. Because I will always be till I die. But anyway, I gotta go. I love you guys. Thank you so much for coming in. Please hit that like button right there. I'm gonna try to be at least a little more consistent. I'm gonna try, because I like these conversations. But like I said, there's a lot of videos like this under my old videos, and I hope that you guys will go check them out. You know, because I used to speak about this subject a lot. Watch your Livingston's ministry and spiritual. Thank you, girl. I believe I followed. Thank you, Beans Cornbread. But yeah, that's all I got for now. I love you guys. I'm gonna talk to you guys later. I really enjoyed this conversation. That's why I guess I didn't even seem like I was talking for 2 hours, but I guess I was. But thank you guys so much. And I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Y'all be safe out there, okay? Watch your back, your front, your side. Stay prayed up, because at the end of the day, as long as you put on the full armor of God, you're gonna be all right. That's just my philosophy. Okay. So anyway, I'm gonna talk to y'all later. Love y'all. Bye bye. Peace.